From Colorado.
Yep.
Small town, right?
Very small town. Yeah, Cintas Center holds more people than there is in my town. So
you could bring your whole.
I could bring my whole town here, and we wouldn't even fill the arena. Yep.
This is the Pitino Show, hosted by Richard Pitino and Paul Fritschner, presented by Deer Park Roofing.
Welcome into another episode of the Pitino Show presented by Deer Park Roofing. I'm your host, Paul Fritschner, and then alongside the head coach of the Xavier Musketeers, Richard Pitino, over to my left. And as we continue here today, it is a player spotlight series, and it is Kason Westphal, incoming freshman onto this team. It's great to have you here, Kason. And like we always do here to start the show, Coach, check in with you as we get closer and closer here and we wrap up some of these player spotlight interviews. This is actually the last one that we're doing here in this segment of them. But as we wrap up some of these interviews, it's just been, like I said on the show with Pop, so interesting to me to hear the stories, why they came here, why they chose to come here. But now to have a high school athlete, not a transfer, somebody that's coming in with all of their college future in front of them. It's different than everybody that we've talked to.
Yeah, you'll obviously get to know him, but very mature and very, he's not a young, typical freshman socially, emotionally, which is great. Raised by a terrific family, parents are great. But yeah, it's the decision that we're all trying to figure out is high school kids. I think I still want to recruit him. I still think he's got tremendous upside. You got to be a little bit more patient than the other guys, right? But feel like we got a guy whose best basketball is definitely ahead of him.
Kason, welcome to Xavier. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Great to be here.
What attracted you to Xavier? Why'd you want to come play here?
Everything. I love the coaching staff. I love everything they're about. I love their offense, how they run stuff, and then obviously just this area. And Xavier's a great school, great athletic program. They're always in the runnings in March Madness, and I love the coaching staff and everything.
We'll get to your basketball in just a minute, but let's start with your family. Let's start with where you're from. You're from Colorado.
Yep.
Small town, right?
Very small town. Yeah, Cintas Center holds more people than there is in my town. So
you could bring your whole.
I could
town
bring my
here.
whole town here, and we wouldn't even fill the arena. Yep.
You lived there your whole life, never moved around?
I lived there my whole life, born and raised, and yeah.
So do you live on a farm? Do you have a lot of land?
We have like 10, 11 acres out at my house. And then obviously we have friends that have hundreds of acres of land and raise cattle. And that's just what I've grown up doing, is helping people out with their cattle and horses. And I raised 4-H pigs growing up and all that stuff.
So I'm from right outside DC. My wife, her family, they run an operational beef farm, cattle farm, right across the border in Indiana. But I had never been on a farm, never had any. A pumpkin patch as a cow running around or whatever, but no experience with like cattle, a farm, how it's all run, farming, any of that. And in the last 8 years, my eyes have been open to that whole world. I gotta tell you, it's something. What's it like growing up on it?
Oh, it's great. I love how it's formed my work ethic, because growing up, helping out those guys, it's just, you go out there and you work and you don't expect anything out of it.
Coach, you have any farming experience?
No. I guess Kentucky with horses. Sure. Like I would say when my dad was head coach of Kentucky, they would allow you to be in the berth of a horse, like in the stable, whatever they call, barn. Did that a couple times, and I don't want to do that again. Minnesota was a little bit, now I was in the Twin Cities, but you would do the fan fests in the summer and you would drive out to these towns where it's farmland. Not my cup of tea by any means, but certainly respect the way of life and all that. It's really cool to be a part of.
You talk about the work ethic. What kinds of jobs did you do? What was life like for you?
We would really do everything from, with cattle, from the second the calf's born, you got to go out there and give it vaccinations and tag it in the ear so you know which calf is which with mama cow. And then later on, we have to brand the calves. So you take a hot iron and stick it on their side, and it'll make your brand. So then once you put your cattle up in the hills, in the mountains during the summer, then when you go up there, you'll know which cattle are yours. So that requires people on horseback, and they'll rope the calves and drag them out. And then I'd be there, and you just pick the calves up and throw them down and then hold them. And they get their vaccinations and their brand, and then they're off. And we'll do like 200, 300 head of calves in the day.
My son played Xbox all day yesterday. And that's what he's doing.
Kason, let's just go back to your time in Colorado there. Where does basketball fit into all that?
Basketball, for me, it fits in everywhere. I'll either be doing basketball before I go out and do stuff like that, or if we're not doing anything, then I'll be in the gym. And I'll be honest, back home, it was a little hard to get into our gym, but we have a pretty nice park downtown, Salida, and that's where I'd spend a lot of my time, is in the outdoor park just shooting.
Coach, how did you identify Kason as a talent that you wanted?
Knew somebody who was close with Case and his family, and have a relationship with a guy by the name of Brandon Goebel out of Colorado. Really respect him, like him, consider him a friend. And he had, we've kind of had some evals of players before that he's really been spot on with. And with Case, and one of my assistants last year when I was at New Mexico, went out and saw him, and he was on our radar. Every roster is different, and your needs are different. But when we got here, we had dove into the transfers and didn't have any high school kids, and we wanted to take one. We wanted to take a developmental big, only if we both were on the same page about what the future would look like. And brought him on campus, speaking to his parents. I think we're on the same page, and very, very excited about, a coach reached out to me from a school in Colorado the other day and asked me how he was doing. And it was more to inquire about, did we whiff? And I said, I think you whiffed. And I think I'm shocked that all the schools in Colorado didn't recruit him harder because you're 7 feet tall.
Yep.
Maybe a little, he might
probably,
be.
I'm probably a little more than that.
Yeah, he's probably 7'1", and can catch, is skilled, and is only, how old are you, 18?
I just turned 18.
18 years old. So certainly high ceiling moving forward.
Kason, when do you think your basketball career really took off? Do you remember a time or maybe a team that you played with?
So I would say my sophomore year of high school, there in Salida, we had probably one of the best teams I've ever seen in the area. And we took that team all the way to a state championship. We ended up losing. But after that, I'd realized, like, I'd always heard about people talking about going and playing in college. And then after that event happened and we went to that state championship, I was like, I could really see myself doing this. And then after that's when I really dove hard into the summer leagues and AAU ball, and then started talking to Brandon about recruitment and whatnot. And then I feel like from there, then everything just took off.
You played with Overtime Elite, right?
Yep. I played there the end of my senior year. I went to Overtime Elite.
So how do you get connected with that? For people that don't know, maybe somebody that's listening, Colorado, you have Overtime Elite, like how does that all work?
Yeah, so that same year after high school, I played for a AAU team called Boom City Elite, and one of the coaches actually coaches for the Overtime Elite team that I played for.
Okay.
And we had been talking before my senior season about transferring, and then I just thought, I was like, yeah, I'm going to stay here and play here. And then some stuff happened, and I reached back out to that coach, and he was like, let's get you down here. So then I came down, we checked out the facilities, and then I think it was the next week I moved down and started playing there at Overtime Elite.
To move away and to be able to play like that, was it how big of an adjustment was it?
It was definitely an adjustment, but I'm very glad that I did it, because I feel like it prepared me a lot for moving out here and being away from my family and playing at the pace of play that those guys are playing at. Definitely, I feel like it's all definitely a positive to come into here.
Have you seen that translate through the summer?
Well, I think when you take a kid who's, 3,000, 4,000 people in your town.
Yeah, just about, probably a little more.
So a little bit more than that, which I'm sure it's a great place. And I know his family's talked about what a great environment to raise a family. But for the basketball world, it's good for him to get out of that. And just experience something else. There's probably not a lot of 7-footers walking around Salida, Colorado, right? Did I say it right?
Yep.
Yeah. And so for him to go play, whether it's AAU, play at a prep school, has definitely helped his transition here. Because you take him from a small town, put him in a major city like Cincinnati, that's probably would have been a bigger adjustment. But I mean, he's hit the ground running. He seems very comfortable and is doing very well here. And I think doing the OT stuff probably helped you transition here a little bit better.
Deer Park Roofing has been providing elite service for homes and businesses since 1996 and leads the industry in professionalism, quality, and responsiveness. So whether your needs are residential or commercial, Deer Park can handle any job and ensure it's done right. Deer Park's motto is protect what's important, and what's important to you is important to Deer Park Roofing. Visit deerparkroofing.com today. deerparkroofing.com.
A fifth third better means we give 166.7%.
Who's a good boy, Parson?
I am good boy.
That's right. And why?
Because I bank a fifth third better.
Wait, what?
5/3 equals 166.7%, so they put 166.7% into everything they do.
Okay, what is happening?
I'll tell you what's happening. Free checking, no hidden fees, and identity theft protection. Now, let's get rid of cat, please.
What?
This is banking a fifth third better.
Did you know anything about Xavier before you got recruited here?
Not too much, if I'm being honest. I've always seen like their logo and seen their teams in March Madness, but outside of that, I really hadn't heard much of Xavier.
So what have you been able to do in Cincinnati, experience the city? What's the first couple of months been like here?
Don't tell a story.
It's been good.
Yeah.
I had a
car issues. When
rough day the first time I was here, but ever since then, it's been great. And I love the city. I love everything downtown has to offer. I love the campus, how it seems so secluded here, but then you go 5 minutes on the interstate and then you're in downtown Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think that is one of the big appeals of Xavier is that you get that small campus, intimate feel, but you're right there in the city with everything that Cincinnati has to offer a few minutes away.
Yeah, I would say my last two places, New Mexico was pretty much in Albuquerque, and that can be good, but that can also be bad. That city living part of it. And Minnesota was the same way. This is definitely more remote. But you can be downtown, you could be, Hyde Park where I live, which is beautiful. So to have the best of both worlds is, I think, ideal. You always like access to a city, but the kind of quaintness of campus is really good for these guys as well.
I'll tell you, Kason, my wife's family's always looking for extra hands on the farm, always looking for extra help. I might just have to volunteer.
Yeah,
if you ever just get like a taste,
just hit me up. Just hit me up. I'll be there.
When you're here and you want to go back home or you want a taste of, like, is there anything that you do that does your family get to come visit? Like, how are you able to?
Yeah, my family came out earlier this summer on my birthday in June. They came out and kind of visited and hung out for a little. Came and I showed them the facility and then they went back home. But I feel like just through, honestly, like video games and whatnot, I'm able to connect a lot with like my friends back home for sure.
For sure. Yeah. The basketball career to me, we just had Pop Njai in here who's from the Ivory Coast, right? You're from Colorado. You get these guys from all over. There was a couple, Serbia, Canada, everywhere. The melting pot of guys that find their way onto a team in Cincinnati at Xavier and coach. It's on the coaching staff. It's on everybody to build the culture and put everybody together. Is that difficult, you think, or the basketball just speak for itself?
I don't think kids care as much anymore about getting away from home. I dealt with it a lot at Minnesota. There was an obsession with keeping the local kids home. And I don't think what people realize is these guys travel so much with AAU. They FaceTime, right? I mean, they'll be on, you got a girlfriend, right?
Yep.
And who knows by the time this airs, maybe he won't. No, I'm just kidding. You've probably FaceTime her every night.
Yeah.
For how long?
It depends.
It
but
could be an
usually,
hour,
yeah.
it could be 2 hours. They will sit on FaceTime, and that's like seeing each other, which is great. I'm not criticizing it. So travel's become easier. Watching games has become way more accessible. It doesn't matter what level you're at. So, like, they don't care anymore about getting away from home. Not saying they don't love their families. Of course they do. But technology has just provided ways for them to stay. My daughter was on a FaceTime last night with a girl from Albuquerque, New Mexico for like 2 hours. So it's just different. And you're not seeing homesickness as much anymore. I mean, they miss home, but like we let them go home in the spring, a little bit in the summer, a little bit in the fall, Christmas. So there's still ways to do it, which is really cool to be a part of.
Let's talk about Kason's game and another big. We've interviewed 2 bigs already today, and from Kason, what he brings to the table and what you want to see out of him in your system.
Yeah, the old days when you got a high school kid like this who's just turned 18, if he stays patient and we stay patient with him, I love his upside. He's really impressed me. He, with bigs, it's can you catch the ball? And he does. Whether it's diving into a ball screen, catching it, they throw it back, you post up, like all those little things. Bigs sometimes have a tendency to be lazy, not lazy at all, plays hard, works hard. So as long as everybody in his circle and our circle see the big picture, I think there's high upside here.
Kason, as far as your development goes over the summer, what have you been most focused on?
I would say me most focused on would be just speed overall on defense and offense, just getting up and down the court and side to side, like coming off helps for ball screens, getting over quick enough. That's where I've really been trying to work on my game the most, is definitely just overall speed on the court.
Deer Park Roofing has been providing elite service for homes and businesses since 1996 and leads the industry in professionalism, quality, and responsiveness. So whether your needs are residential or commercial, Deer Park can handle any job and ensure it's done right. Deer Park's motto is protect what's important, and what's important to you is important to Deer Park Roofing. Visit deerparkroofing.com today. deerparkroofing.com.
A fifth third better means we give 166.7%.
Who's a good boy, Parson?
I am good boy.
That's right. And why?
Because I bank a fifth third better.
Wait, what?
5/3 equals 166.7%, so they put 166.7% into everything they do.
Okay, what is happening?
I'll tell you what's happening. Free checking, no hidden fees, and identity theft protection. Now, let's get rid of cat, please.
What?
This is banking a fifth third better.
The journey to move medicine forward takes an unwavering commitment to solving complex patient care. Innovative thinkers driven to change lives. A therapeutically focused contract research organization. A diverse team committed to comprehensive patient care. All leading to successful drug approval. Join the CTI team on our journey to move medicine forward.
Yeah, I think that's been the maybe the biggest theme of the common thread of all these interviews has been the speed at which you guys play in this system. Does it stand out?
Yeah, definitely. Coach Pitino loves to just push it up the floor, and just getting used to that is definitely something
And
to
staying
work
in
on.
shape, not getting out of breath, all that stuff.
Yep, definitely.
What do you do? Is there anything that sticks out to you besides just running to keep you in shape that has helped you?
Definitely just being in the weight room every day. That's something that's pretty new to me. I haven't ever lifted this much. I've always lifted, but never as consistent as we do here. And I think it's definitely helped me a lot.
Did you play any other sports growing up besides basketball?
Up until about my sophomore year in high school, I played every sport you could. I mean, in Salida, there wasn't much to do. So everyone played every sport, and I played literally all of them. And I loved it all until right about that sophomore year when I decided basketball was my thing. then I kind of quit everything else.
Did you decide that, or did being 7 feet decide that?
I think it was a little mix of both, but I definitely had it in my mind that that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah. How well does it translate players that are athletic, that play all these different sports, and then, you concentrate later in your high school career, but can you tell?
I think it's a good thing. Now, I do think at some point it's beneficial to focus on one sport. But I'm dealing with my kids right now. Like, I want them to play multiple sports. It's great for them socially. Being a part of a team, the benefits are amazing. Being taken out of your comfort zone and doing something that maybe you're not used to doing, all those things are positive. And then, hand-eye coordination, little things like that, those are all really good for you as well. I would say as you get to maybe junior year of high school, my suggestion would be to focus on one thing. But growing up, like, I am a huge advocate of playing multiple sports.
You mentioned it a little bit in the beginning of the show, but balancing high school recruiting with portal recruiting, and what can Xavier fans expect in that balance under a Pitino staff? Well,
I mean, I think it's not smart to go about everything the same like we've always done. And I've got a veteran staff, and they've all been doing it, and I've been doing it since 2005. It's not the same anymore. It's not. And everybody calls it recruiting. I don't know if it's recruiting anymore. It's about evaluating and deciding who you want to invest in. And high school kids are not going to be as ready as a fifth-year transfer. I mean, that's just normal. But they still have great value. And, I've been very successful in the portal era with high school kids. Donovan Dent was a high school kid. He was player of the year in the league. JT Toppin was Big 12 player of the year last year. Came out of our program in New Mexico. True Washington was an all-conference player, a high school kid. Jovan's a high school kid. So, they're different conversations, and as long as they understand they're going to be really good players and we're going to be invested in them, it may take a little bit longer, but everybody runs a different race.
What stood out to you about the Big East, Kason? Anything?
I mean, it's the Big East. I think it speaks for itself in that it's a Power Five, and it's some of the best basketball in the nation. And I think that's all there really is to say about it.
I know I'm probably putting you on the spot a little bit here, but being out west, you can say no, but did you get a chance to watch New Mexico at all over the last couple of years?
Yeah, especially last year when I was having a couple conversations with the coaches. I definitely watched all their games after they had those conversations with me, and then in their March Madness run, I was watching all their games. Me and my family would just sit down, and we watched every March Madness game, but we especially tuned into theirs.
Yeah, it was an electric season at New Mexico to watch and pay attention to.
Definitely.
Yeah. Was there something that stood out to you when you were watching those games that you were thinking to yourself,
I would just say how fast-paced they were. I mean, they'd get the ball out, make or miss, and they were immediately pushing it up the floor. And I didn't know that they were going to recruit me at that point, but I knew if I did end up coming with Coach Pitino that I'd have to get ready for that.
The pace, the bigs, the pace, has Kason been able to, you know, in your mind?
Yeah, I think the biggest adjustment, and I made this shift as a coach, was what do you do when the team, your opponent, scores on you? Some teams, you see the assistants have a board, right? That's the new thing now. Or you may see the point guard walk it up and look at the coach, and we're going to run one or we're going to run two or whatever. And when I got the New Mexico job, I had a conversation with Mark Dagnall, who was the head coach of OKC. I worked with Mark for 2 years in Florida. He's a good friend of mine. I said to him, if you were ever, and this was before the guy's a world champion now, but I was like, if you ever went back to college, what would you do differently offensively? He said, I would run more. I would stop running as many sets and put more concepts in. And, so you will hear me a lot when the team scores, scream run, because I don't want the defense to be set up. I don't want them to rest. And the biggest adjustment for a guy like Kason is they just scored to just take off. And we work on it every day where you rim run. He could take the ball out. So our biggest thing is either big takes the ball out. The quickest guy to get to it. So if he's in the game with Trey, and Trey's at the 4 and he's at the 5, and he sees Trey go to take it out, he needs to run to the rim and post up. And then we have what's called our flow. But guys don't instinctively do that right away, but they're getting better and better and better at it to where, okay, I'm going to go, all right, I'm not taking it out, I'm going to get off and run.
And it's probably easier for the players to pick up, too, on the concepts and everything. You got to have some set plays and all that. But conceptually, playing the flow of the game has to help.
It's easier, but it's harder. Again, it's hard to run. Nobody loves to run. Gonzaga is the one. Sean Miller took from them. I tried to take from them. Arizona does it. There's a few of them out west who do it. But, it's I just always loved, I'm sick of looking at my play card every possession. And I did this in Minnesota where, okay, Michigan State scored. And I'd look and say, okay, I want to get a post up for Kason. Let them go play with pace and take kind of what the defense allows you to get.
Did you have a player, Kason, growing up that you watched that you wanted to model your game after, or that you idolized?
Definitely more so now that he plays more, just Nikola Jokic. I've watched him all the time. My dad always wouldn't make me watch him, but he'd always have a Nuggets game on, and he'd be like, just watch him, watch what he does, and just how fluent his post moves are and how he slows the game down, and he doesn't let anything rush him, and he just makes the game simple.
Yeah, I think if you made me put $100 down on who you were going to say, I was going to guess Jokic there.
Yeah.
There are worse guys to idolize than Jokic.
But, I always have grown up kind of watching him.
Always also loves the horses.
Yep. He does love his horses.
Coach, as we wrap up here in talking to Kason and wrap up this segment of our player series interviews here, again, as we started the show, to me, I think it's really exciting for Xavier fans to be able to get to know these players, to meet them, to understand what they're going to see on the court this season under a new coach, under new staff, new team, new players, everything new. It's been fun to get to know some of these guys, and it's not done yet. Have a couple of guys left that we still need to talk to, but in this round of interviews, it's fun to go through all of these guys.
Yeah, Xavier it's an historic basketball brand, and our fans, our supporters, former coaches, alumni, players, they deserve to have quality people in their program that are going to represent this X the right way. And certainly going through all of these, I think everybody could see that.
Kason, anything else that you want Xavier fans to know about you? Maybe something I haven't asked, anything that we haven't talked about?
Not really. I'm just excited to be here and excited for the season to start.
Absolutely. Well, Kason, best of luck to you. Great to have you here in Cincinnati. And Coach, thanks for sitting down and doing all these interviews. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach Pitino, for Kason Westphal, right here to my left, I'm Paul Fritschner signing off. Make sure, if you haven't already, you subscribe on YouTube, audio platforms, wherever you're watching or listening to this right now. And thank you, as always, to our presenting sponsor, Deer Park Roofing. This has been another episode of The Pitino Show, presented by Deer Park Roofing. We'll talk to you next time.